Hello friends, welcome to my channel Clinical Biochemistry by Dr. P.K. Prabhakar. Today we are going to see some of the common cell signaling pathways and noted their significance. Basically, we have already seen some of the videos where we have discussed about the some basics about the cell signaling. Normally, cell signaling it is a process by which cell communicate with each other, or either it will be within the cell to perform different type of physiological activities, or to perform different kind of functions. The cell signaling is also known as the cellular signaling sometimes. This cell signaling process is a vital for proper functioning of both prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic cells. Especially when we are talking about the multicellular organisms, it helps in the cells to communicate with within the cells and nearby cells or the different cells. And cell signaling involves differently three important steps: receiving the signals, which we will see later on, and then termination of the signals, and you can call it its amplifications. These communications normally takes place through some signal molecules, and these chemical signals works as a molecules which communicate the signal from one cell to one place to other place, and it binds to the receptor wherever it will be, either onto the plasma membrane or into the cytoplasm. These signals can be chemicals, can be physicals, can be electric current, pressures, temperatures. If you talk about the chemical signals, it can be some hormones like insulin, glucagons, some ions like sodium, potassium. Here today we are going to see different type of signaling processes. We have already seen how cell signaling works. When we're talking the signaling process and classify them by distance, there are three important types of cell signaling processes, which we are going to call autocrine, endocrine, and paracrine. So, if we'll say the autocrine, what is exactly autocrine? Autocrine is a cells when cell produces signaling molecules like cytokines, which binds to own cells, means the producer cell itself. Like if you'll see here, this cells produces the signaling molecule, it binds to the same cells, which is called as autocrine type of signaling processes. Then second, we are having the paracrine. Paracrine involves the release of paracrine factors or signaling molecules into the extracellular fluids and causes the activation onto the nearby cells. Like examples, releases the local immune responses, neurotransmitters, and retinoic acids. Like here you can see, it works on the nearby cells, as you see here. Third important category of signaling process is endocrine, where signaling molecules, like in this case, it's hormones, released by the endocrine glands into the blood, and they travels to the body and then works on the distantly located tissue. Through communications, these endocrine factors, or which we call hormones, communicate to the distantly located cells and works there. A fourth category here you are going to see, that is juxta endocrine cells. If a cell-to-cell communication in which signaling molecules released from one cell interact with the adjacent cell receptors, such as the Notch signaling processes. That is called as juxta endocrine cells, or juxtacrine cells. Other than these four important signaling molecules, there are some other type of signaling system also, like intracrine. This type of signaling occurs within the cells, such as the case of steroid hormones, which can cross plasma membrane or transmembrane and reaches to the required cellular compartment inside the cells. That is called as intracrine cells. Then we are having the contact dependent. In contact dependent signaling, as in the case of juxtacrine signaling, there are direct physical contact between the cells and signaling molecules that are attached to the membrane of one cell interact with receptor onto the other cells, like T cell activation by antigen processing cells, APC cells. Then we are having the synaptic, which normally occurs into the neuromuscular movement, neuronal cells. It occurs between the neurons through the synaptic junctions at the case of neurotransmitters. So we are having presynaptic neurons and the postsynaptic neurons, and then transmission occurs. And the last category is redox signaling. In this case, electrons are transferred both inside and between the cells during the redox signaling, which affect how cell reacts. like reactive oxygen species, can act as a signaling molecules for the cellular proliferations. So these are the different types of signaling processes, especially by the distance where they work and where they produce and how they work. Then chemically, we had classified cells into the two broad category, that is the hydrophilic messengers molecules, signaling molecules, and hydrophobic signaling molecules. Hydrophilic signaling molecules, normally these are water lovers, water loving signaling molecules. So they are normally not able to travel, means because they are water soluble, so directly they secreted by the exocytosis into the blood circulation and directly travel to the distantly located cells and works there. But in this case, if you'll say these hydrophilic messengers normally does not cross the plasma membrane, because plasma membrane is hydrophobic in nature. So their receptors present on the plasma membrane. They binds on the plasma membrane receptors and then works. So we will see these hydrophobic messengers how it works. Second category is hydrophobic messengers. When these molecules are released by the cells through diffusion, because plasma membrane are hydrophobic, hydrophobic only, and they directly diffuse released by diffusions. But because blood is hydrophilic in nature and their water content is sufficient, what means it maximum is water content, so these hydrophobic messengers not able to travel that alone. So they need certain kind of carrier molecules. So always hydrophobic messenger molecules travel in the body into the circulations associated with some carrier proteins, and most of the cases it will be albumin. So this is how they transport, because they are hydrophobic in the nature, so they easily cross the plasma membrane and their receptors normally lie into the cytoplasm or into the nucleus, inside the nucleus. So when we are talking about the cellular signaling processes, their signaling process is divided into three important stages, that is reception, transduction, responses. But overall, if you see, this is composed of 6 different steps. So one by one, we are going to see first receptor. When a specific molecules, a specific you can call ligand molecules or the signaling molecules or signals binds on a specific receptor present on the plasma surface of the cells. That is called as reception of the signaling molecules. Then second one is the transduction. After binding to the signaling molecules, it leads to the activation inside the cells. So this, because these molecules cannot cross, so they activate some of the components inside the cells. So that is through phosphorylation, through different kind of conformation changes or different other processes. So after reception, transduction occurs, means activation of the signaling cascade, signaling molecules. Then it occurs actually amplifications. Throughout the signaling routes, the signal is frequently amplified at several stages to ensure a strong cellular responses, which we have seen in my previous video, okay, how this amplification occurs. Then fourth process is integration. Cells are able to react correctly to complicated stimuli by integrating into number of or many impulses from diverse routes. Then the actual comes, that is the response, which we are going to see here. Cell signaling responses leads to alteration in the expression of genes or gene metabolic processes, growth, differentiations, different kind of protein expression, suppression in the protein expression, and the last is the termination of the signaling molecules. After one signal has been performed, the termination needed to be done by removing the signaling molecules. So these are the 6 different stages: reception, then transduction, amplification, integration, cell responses, and termination. But these three are the important: reception, transduction, and responses. Now, if you see that there are a number of different type of receptors we are having in our body. When we are talking about the receptors, the process of cell signaling occurs by different cell surface receptors. When we are these are the so receptors can be divided into different types. So first one is cell surface receptor. We are having 3 important cell surface receptor, that is G protein coupled receptor, which we will talk in detail one by one, not today, in different video. So this GPCR, in abbreviation we are going to call GPCR, are the class of cell surface receptor that activates G protein, which is a cytoplasmic protein, which are normally intracellular signaling proteins to send a message inside the cells. Second one is receptor tyrosine kinase, that is in abbreviation we are going to call RTK. These are the receptor onto the cell surface with intrinsic kinase activity. Tyrosine residue normally going to be phosphorylated and through autophosphorylation and start the signaling cascade. And the third one is ion channel receptors. These membrane proteins known as the integral receptors open as well as closes ion channels in response to the ligand binding, allowing ions to cross the plasma membrane, either not plasma membrane, cross the membrane either inside or outside. Second category we are having that is the intracellular signaling. So in intracellular we are having two broad categories, that is nuclear receptor or the cytoplasmic receptor. So depending on the location where this receptor occurs, we are having nuclear if receptor present in the nucleus, and if receptor is present in the cytoplasm, we are going to call it cytoplasmic receptors. So nuclear receptor normally are the transcription factors that are located inside the cells, control the expression of genes or the suppression of the genes. And these cytoplasmic receptors, certain transduction inducing receptors, like MAP kinase pathway, you will see or you might have seen it. Then third important category we are having, it is two important categories which is called enzyme linked receptors, that is receptor guanylyl receptor or histidine kinase receptors. First, receptor guanylyl receptor. These receptors functions as both enzyme and ligand binding agents. These function as a secondary messengers by catalyzing the transformation of GTP into cyclic GMP. Like you will see when we talk about GPCR, here cyclic MP forms from ATP to cyclic MP. Similarly here GTP converted into cyclic GMP. In case of histidine kinase receptors, signal transduction system consisting of two components, including histidine kinase. On histidine residue, they phosphorylate themselves and subsequently transduction signaling systems occurs. Then we are having PRR, that is called pattern recognition receptors. Most important category is toll-like receptors, TLL or TLR. They scent of the immunological reactions by identifying certain molecules pattern linked to the infections. We are having the DAMPs, death associated membrane receptors, we will see later on. And then last other category, like we can have adhesion receptors or cytokine receptors. So interaction between the cells and the extracellular matrix are mediated through these adhesion receptors like integrins and ICAM, PCAM, BCAM. And cytokine receptors are cytokine, which is normally crucial for the signaling molecules in the immune responses, especially operates through the responses to modulate their effects. So these are the different kind of receptors. On the first, we will see the cell surface receptors in our coming videos, where we will talk about the GPCR, enzyme coupled receptor, and ion receptors. In G Now, last portion is the function of these signaling molecules, signaling receptors. First is communication between the cells. So through these signaling processes, signaling systems, cell signaling, cells normally communicates in the tissue, into the organs, within the cells. So it is a communication process. Then development and differentiation of the cells in order to cell to specialize into the distinct cell type. It helps in the differentiation process or maturation process, you can call it. Then immune defenses, many signaling molecules you will see either it works for the immune system, so it activates immune system or for the responses. So immune system normally relies on these signaling processes, signaling molecules only, especially cytokines, chemokines. Then cell growth, signaling routes control the cell cycle through different proteins and the protein associated factors, or also into the cell repair processes. And last is metabolic processes, metabolism, apoptosis, which is a programmed cell death, or necrosis, which is normally governed through the signaling process. So these are the basics about the different types of signaling process. Thank you very much. If you like the video, press the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, you can subscribe it. You can press the bell button so that you will get all the notifications for upcoming videos. In our next video, we will talk about the different type of receptors, and then we will talk about the GPCR, G protein coupled receptors. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.